Bassline number 1 is Sweet Home Chicago, written by Robert Johnson, but the version you're probably most familiar with is by the Blues Brothers with Donald Duck Dunn on bass. By the way, if you click the link below, you'll be able to download this PDF with the tab, notation, and there's also a Spotify playlist and backing tracks that you can download completely for free, so you can start learning these bass lines right after watching this video. This is a classic blues shuffle in E major, and this marking at the top of the page indicates that the 8th note should be swung. So instead of playing the 8th notes like this, you would play them like this. The simplest way to achieve this feel from a theoretical point of view is to subdivide the beat into triplets, so 1 and a 2 and a, and then just don't play the and or the middle triplet, so 1 a 2 a 3. Bear in mind, this is just the theoretical way of achieving this feel. If you actually want to develop a great swing feel, you need to be able to listen to, transcribe, and play swung music. Bassline number 2, The Thrill Is Gone, written and performed by the guitar legend B.B. King and featuring Jerry Jamon on bass. Have a listen to this simple but super groovy bass part. This song uses a B minor chord progression. If you're not familiar with what a minor blues chord progression is, here's the basic outline. So you have 4 bars on the 1 chord in a minor key, and then 2 bars on the 4 chord, and then you go back to the 1 chord for another 2 bars, and then it kind of ends on the 6 chord, going to the 5 chord, and then back to the 1 chord. This chord progression is 100% worth learning, so just make sure to learn the minor blues as well as your major blueses. Number 3 is I'm Your Hoochie Coochie Man by Muddy Waters. This song is a 12/8 blues in the key of A major. If you don't know what a 12/8 time signature is, it's essentially like playing triplets in 4/4, but each one of the triplets is one of the 12 beats. This song has a really cool call and response between the ensemble riff and the vocals. Call and response just means where one or multiple instruments play a musical phrase that is quickly followed by another musical phrase answering the first phrase. So in this example, we have this riff, which is the first musical phrase, and then Muddy Waters answers that phrase with the vocal melody. Bassline number 4 was actually suggested by the guitarist in one of the bands I play in. The song is called Red House by Jimi Hendrix, featuring Noel Redding on rhythm guitar. So even though I played the part on bass guitar, this was not actually recorded on a bass guitar. It was recorded on an electric guitar, and it's probably the hardest bass line to execute properly on this list, especially if you've never played double stops on bass. And here's what Noel Redding said about this track. I had to borrow a terrible old hollow body electric guitar from someone at the studio because I like to play along on rhythm to familiarize myself with the sequence, not being quite at home on the bass yet. The guitar Noel was using was actually tuned down 1/2 step. There it is. So as this song is a B-flat blues, when you come to actually read it in the PDF or play the riff, it's kind of like you're playing a B blues, which is great because it would be very difficult to play in B-flat as we won't be able to do all the double stops while using the open strings. Okay, on to one of my favorites from this list, this bass line, number 5, The House is Rockin' by Stevie Ray Vaughan with Tommy Shannon on bass. Well, so as you can hear, this one is pretty advanced because it's so quick and super high energy. So just take it slow at first and try to make the continuous stream of 8th notes consistent before increasing the tempo. Bassline number 6 is Messin' with the Kid, composed by Mel London and Junior Wells, and the version we're playing is by Buddy Guy and Junior Wells. How cool is that riff at the beginning of the tune? Even though this is a C major blues, this riff is using the C minor pentatonic scale, which is really that sound of the blues, that rub between the major and minor third. Time for another funky blues riff with bassline number 7, Born Under a Bad Sign. Composer William Bell and Brooker T. Jones, but performed by Brooker T. Jones with Melvin Brannon on bass. So as you saw, I was playing this bass line on my 5 string, which is back there. And this bass line in the PDF is just the second verse. But this bass line features another super funky C minor pentatonic bass riff. And this has actually got to be one of my personal favorites from this list. And I feel like I'm going to definitely say that with a lot of these bass lines. Actually, I'd love to know what your favorite bass line is so far. Boom Boom is bass line number 8 with John Lee Hooker. Can you guess who's on bass? I'll give you a clue. He used to play with one finger, which people used to call the hook, and he was part of a group of session musicians called the Funk Brothers. Do you know who it is? I'll quickly play the bass line and give you some time to think. Now, if you guessed James Jamerson, okay, I'll stop there. You would be correct. This tune is an F blues with another call and response between the band and the vocalist. Bassline number 9 is a riff I feel like every bass player should learn. Composed by Brooker T. Jones, Al Jackson Jr., Louis Steinberg, and Steve Cropper. This song is Green Onions by Brooker T. and the MGs. Check it out. This is another minor blues, but in F, with Louis laying down that awesome bass riff. If you want the tab and notation and backing tracks of all the songs, I'll make sure to leave a link below this video where you can download all of that for free. Bassline number 10 is Crossroads by Robert Johnson, but today we'll be playing the Cream version with Jack Bruce on bass. Pay close attention to the held octaves in bar 9 and bar 10. I'm guessing Jack is doubling the octaves like that just to fill out the sound, as the band was only a trio. Now, if you played at any of the jam nights, I'm sure at some point someone would have called this song. Next up, at bassline number 11, originally recorded by Mac Rice, but made famous a year later by Wilson Pickett, but the version you'll probably know best is by The Commitments. Here is Mustang Sally. Here's a quick groove tip when playing this song. Make sure to come off the first note of each bar on the second beat. So 1, 2. To let the backbeat of the snare come through the mix. So when you're playing this along with the backing track, pay close attention to not only where the note begins, but also where the notes come off. For bassline number 12, we're going to throw in a more modern artist. Originally performed by B.B. King, the song is Every Day I Have the Blues, but one of my personal favorite versions of this song is by the John Mayer Trio with Pino Palladino on bass. Check it out. How cool is that lick in bar 4? Here, I'll play it slowly for you. Also, I love that vibrato or squiggle, whatever you want to call it, in bar 12. Bassline number 13, written by Taj Mahal and famously covered by the Blues Brothers with Donald Duck Dunn on bass. This is She Caught the Katy. So now you know where Jacko gets all his lines from, bars 11, 12 and 13 of this bass line. Those bars are just a masterpiece in outlining the harmony while still holding down the groove. Next up at bassline number 14 is I'm Tore Down. Originally written by Sonny Thompson, but the most famous recording being Freddie King with Bill Willis on bass. technically on the bass, this one is quite difficult to pull off well. So again, just slow it down. And a quick tip is to assign one finger to each fret. Apart from this one where you're going to slide. And just use the one finger per fret system. Bassline number 15 was composed by Willie Dixon, performed by Willie Dixon, and the bass player was Willie Dixon. Here is Backdoor Man. So make sure you download the PDF and backing track by using the link below this video. And if you want to discover a simple 5-part framework for learning bass lines and songs a lot faster, check out this video, as I think it's really going to help you.